Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Texans Probe. Today, of course, we're back with Drew. We're going to kind of recap a little bit of the Titans game. Not that much to talk about. Starters didn't play all that much, but there was definitely some exciting moments in this game. A pretty fun game as a whole. And we're going to preview this playoff game. Should be an interesting one. Chargers are favorited. Not a lot of people giving the Texans a shot in this game, which I can understand from how the Texans have played this year. But I do realistically think they have a shot in this game. They have a top defense. And if the offense can just do enough, I think they can win this game. How you feeling, Drew?
Yeah, I feel the same way about you there, frankly. I'm glad we're joined today by, I think, Aziz Al-Shair and who is that? I don't know. Is that the cheer, right? I'm not really sure. And Derek Barnett.
I
They're
can't. I
joining
can't
us
tell. I
today.
can't tell. Let's see.
Is it
I guess
maybe
I.
might be
I, I,
Stallman Bird? Maybe I'm not entirely sure.
I
Vibe. But hey, it's nice to have extra people on the episode. Derek
yep.
Barnett, of course, was the star of the game for the Texans. Damian Pierce was a star of that
Yep.
game. It seemed like Drew Scruggs had a good game as well. Titus Howard, another good game at guard, which is impressive against the Titans' defensive line. And people
Absolutely.
I saw comments saying their defense wasn't good, but that's completely further from the truth, as you saw what the Titans did to the Texans in Houston just a couple weeks ago. That was embarrassing. This is a good get-back game. You kind of need that. Obviously there wasn't much on the line for anyone, but I hope that the Texans don't take it that way. I hope they really took it to heart that, they got their ass kicked at home by the same team and they went into their
Yep.
house while they were in the Oilers uniforms, which some people may care about, some people may not care about it. But they were able to take care of business. So it's pretty cool. I love the annual tradition of beating the Tennessee Titans in Tennessee when they wore the Houston Oilers uniforms, even if they had all the rights in the world to move their franchise away. It'd always be kind of sweet. And then we got this game against the Chargers. We saw what Rex Ryan said. It's a bye week. The Texans have a funny opportunity to play that message on the board during the game or after the game. Maybe we'll get a funny moment there. That'd be pretty cool. We'll see what happens. I think, but for me, at the end of the day, I've told all my friends this, my family this, like, this is nothing new for the Texans to be in the wild card game. They win these wild card games. They play in the wild card games. It doesn't matter what they do in the wild card game. It would matter, of course, if that we had Super Bowl expectations and whatever. But this has been a very, very, very frustrating season for a fan, from a strategic aspect, from the coaches, from the players. Everything about this season has been so frustrating. So really, I just want to see how the Texans play in this game. Ultimately, how are they going to play in the divisional round if they get the opportunity to? Because that's what really matters.
Yep. I just want here. I'm going to chime in. I just saw this. Bobby Sloak currently having his press conference this week. He said the organization feels good about where the offense is now after a challenging second year at the helm of the offense. So take that for how you will. I don't know if I really believe that because I don't know if they've watched the same offense, but I just want to throw that out there. But yeah, I completely agree with you. The wild card, it's not like the Texans have not won wild card games. They've won 5 wild card games in the last, however many, like 14 years. So, I mean, they're not that uncommon to win wild card games around here. And I'm not necessarily expecting them to win this wild card game. But like you said, it's about how they would play in a divisional game, assuming you'd have to go into Kansas City.
Which I like.
I think out of all the matchups you could go, I think they would be the one that I would probably take because at this point, I think Baltimore is just not a matchup the Texans want, and then Buffalo going into Buffalo is always a nightmare. So I would take Kansas City.
Yeah, I was on here, whatever weeks ago. Like, oh yeah, it would be great to play the Ravens because there's no way that they would lose to them 4 times in the span of 365 days.
Yeah, they would.
But guess what? It probably would happen. They would lose to the Ravens 4 times. So let's stay away from the Baltimore Ravens. It's just, you're right. It's not a matchup that the Texans can afford to go up against at this point. It would take probably bad weather. It would take drops from the Baltimore Ravens receivers, which I guess has happened technically. I'm sure Ravens fans don't really want to talk about that. But it would take some genuine luck at this point because the Ravens know what they can do against the Texans. And then the Bills, it'd be pretty cold in Buffalo for starters. Also, don't think the Texans can replicate the performance that they had against them in Week 5. I think that was a really good performance. But when things like that happens, in terms of like Joe Brady and Josh Allen, they get to go back and watch the film and say, okay, yeah, Josh, you had 9 completions. We're going to make sure that doesn't happen again. We're going to figure this thing out. They're probably going to come in with a better game plan. But the Texans losing to the Chiefs in a close game, the offense heated up at the end until Tank Dell got hurt. I think that they could figure some things out there. And, man, Mahomes wouldn't have played for 26 days, I believe, going into that game. That's a long time to be away. For a guy that has not had a great season, that's a long time to be away from football.
Yep. And, people don't want to go back to this game, but I will. Texans 2019 was a similar type thing where the Texans went in off of a Kansas City bye and really should have won that game. You get up 24-0 early, and they just blew it. But it's a similar type thing where nobody expected that Texans team to go in there and beat Kansas City. Like you said, Mahomes hadn't played in a while. And that was a different Patrick Mahomes than the Patrick Mahomes we've seen over the last year and a half, 2 years. It's just has not been the same guy this year. And I think nobody will say differently that he has the respect of the top quarterback, but he hasn't played like it. And that's just the reality of the situation. And I do think out of all the matchups you could get, that'd be the one that I would take pretty easily. And we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm not necessarily expecting them to go into Kansas City and win, but I do think you could make it a game like the Texans did previously. I mean, they did it a couple weeks ago and made that a really competitive game that they probably should have won. With some things that didn't go their way in the first half, especially.
Right.
So,
very shaky first half. I didn't watch the entire game that Sunday or Saturday, whatever it was. But no, and that was definitely a winnable game. When a team like the Chiefs doesn't really do anything special to win the game, that's a really good example of a game where the Texans lost to themselves. And that's happened all year. I think that D'Amico knows it. I think CJ knows it. I think everyone in the Texans locker room knows it. They've been super frustrated. But let's not forget the things that they have accomplished. They should have beat the Lions without Nico Collins. That's pretty damn impressive to me. And think about it like this. They didn't have Nico Collins in this game. They didn't have Christian Harris in that game. Now they're going into the playoffs with Nico Collins, Christian Harris. Azeez Al-Shaair is going to be there too. Nico Autry is going to be healthy after taking a week off. Will Anderson also got time off. Dino Hunter a little time off as well. So the Texans benefit a lot from the Titans, kind of what you want to call it, preseason-esque game, if you will, all the resting.
Oh, yeah.
And then also you get that one drive from C.J. Stroud. I think he had 6 completions on 6 passes. We can go over that drive just real quick and look at see if they did anything like different, see what they did to make CJ comfortable, see how the offensive line looks, see how they attacked the Titans defensive line after getting dominated. Remember, the Titans do have that one strategy, kind of, staying backside, knowing that Mixon might flow immediately because Mixon did have the tendency to kind of just cut back initially because he knew there wasn't going to be enough push. So it's kind of take a look at the run design, stuff like that. Because self-scouting is probably the most important thing for the Texans because, like I said, they've been beating themselves, not losing to really other teams, frankly.
For sure. All right, let's start the game off. Again, I was talking to Drew about this. I really didn't get to watch a lot of this game. Was on vacation for this, so I didn't get to see a lot of it. But it sounded good when I was listening to it. I like the idea of just getting the ball in Nico Collins' hands early.
Yeah, and this is a good way.
There was nobody there.
Remember, the screens were shut down by the Chiefs. So now you self-scout and you find a different way to get your playmakers the ball in space. You line up a tight end on the outside. You move your slot receiver more to the wing tight end look, and that's a good matchup. And obviously that guy kind of made a little bit of a mistake on the read. But anyways, you shouldn't be able to get Nico Collins. Just a really smart way to get your playmakers the ball in space. And that's a great example of self-scouting.
Yep. And I will say, I like the fact that we've talked about it for a while, but Dalton Schultz a lot of times seems lazy. I like the fact that he goes over to Woods here, daps him up a little bit. They made some good blocks there. I like to see that type of stuff,
Yeah,
especially at this point in the season where there's been some struggles and some up and downs, especially on offense. I like to see the fact that go give your teammates some love for making a good play. And then this one was pointed out by I think Stressens. He posted this. Titans send a nickel blitz, and they do a good job of finding kind of the hole and just hitting Nico for a little gain. 44 is coming.
You see that guy coming down there, they're going to throw it right at the blitz. That's a common thing that coaches tell their quarterbacks to do. You throw it to the blitz side. You can't throw it to the non-blitz side. There's going to be an empty player or empty zone right where the blitz is coming from, and it's a good job. And they do it. Obviously, the Titans blitz away from the tight end side too. So good job by Nico to settle because sometimes receivers might just run a speed out. They might not get their head around, and he was able to settle in the space because he identified the blitz.
Yep.
Which really was Nico's thing you could ask him to do more. You could ask him to be a little bit more aware of space at time.
Yeah.
And you're just going to get –
And this was a good job by Juice, too. I posted this one. This was nice getting to the second level, and, he showed off some power here. The guy kind of makes a good play, but still driving the dude into the ground.
And the different thing for him there is what you were seeing earlier in the year is probably like some bad double teams from Juice. Like he would not necessarily help those guys out, but this time they're just saying, hey, get to the second level. Don't worry about messing up the double team. Just get up there. A zone split block from Stover on Simmons. That's a good design to just kind of make sure you're getting hats on hats rather than zones that force mix into not necessarily an indecision, but make him like a little bit too aggressive. This is just a straight up zone split. This is where you're gonna go. You have your center or right guard at the second level. Easy play to get. It's a consistent 6 yards that you'll get out of a play there against that front.
Yeah, like we talked about, the Titans actually probably have one of the best defensive tackle rooms in the entire NFL. So seeing this type of stuff is nice. Like you like seeing the front win against a defensive line like this because I don't necessarily know if they're going to face a better defensive line in the playoffs. The Titans' defense has actually been pretty good all season. The offense is really what's held them back. Their defense has been very good. Nice little boot here.
Jacob's favorite boot to the quarterback's weak side.
Yeah, I don't understand why teams do this so much, but I do think Stroud looks pretty comfortable doing it. So as long as that,
he has the arm for it. He has the good mechanics for it. Yeah, some quarterbacks might be uncomfortable, but this really doesn't affect him. Here, let's see how he gets open. May have been just kind of bad coverage. I don't know. Actually, it was kind of so they're faking the stretch to the right, and then they kind of think that Schultz is blocking, which he does a pretty good job of selling. He's just kind of working his way up there with his shoulder, and he leaks out. So that's a good design by Slowick.
I will say I like what I'm seeing so far. Again, I didn't really watch this. I was listening on the radio, so I didn't know how it was going. But I like the designs I've seen so far. You basically use this game as a just preparation game. There's not there was no reason to like really show off a ton, but if you had certain ideas that you wanted to test, it's kind of a good game for it. Titus getting a little physical in the middle.
Yeah, I think this drive, from what I'm getting, is they're kind of trying to establish like some physicality, like from the offensive line, just saying, this is your matchup, this is who you're supposed to attack. Kind of simplifying it for them, but they're also like they're holding up pretty well. They're getting push. We'll see Titus here.
That's what I was gonna say. This is a good job by Titus.
He's able to, engage and kick him out a little bit, just enough to, create somewhat of a gap in the A gap there. So I'm totally fine with that. And maybe Simmons isn't giving all his effort. He's ready to go to Cancun, but I'll still take that rep.
For sure. And then I think after this, we can go through Deontay Johnson targets just to kind of.
And here, you're kind of building off of earlier. You have the motion into the split action, play action. There, probably, but I would say Mixon doesn't really help out too much. He kind of like the TikTok from Theo Ash talking about the spacing in the pocket. That is a little bit impacted there too, not necessarily.
Oh yeah. I do think Stover does a pretty good job, all things considered, though. I mean, you can't like
He
ask
was
much
fine,
more.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a good job by Stover. I talked about it earlier, and I think we've both talked about it. I wasn't the biggest fan of the Stover pick when we actually picked him, but I do think as the season's gone along, he's gotten a good amount better at certain things. They've kind of forced him into a role that he wasn't ready for, and he's progressively gotten better at doing it. So, credit to him, credit to Stover for that.
And then the back, and then for the coverage wise, that's just you can't really beat that against cover 3. You got the post and the out. Like those are things that just go right into the zones. So you have to be able to check this down and have the option there from Mixon. So that's gonna be your 4th option, and Stroud hits it. He could also maybe run. We'll see. Simmons is kind of spying there.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That was definitely the correct decision.
Yeah, and I like the fact that he's comfortable in the pocket. We talked about in the Jacksonville game where the puck got a little bit muddy and he kind of panicked. That was a good job of settling in that pocket, not trying to do too much, just taking what was there.
Yeah, I think that part is gonna be. You're not gonna see that anymore. You're not gonna see him be uncomfortable in the pocket. I feel like he's even said, like in his interviews, he trusts the offensive line. He thinks the offensive line's working hard. If you think your offensive line is working hard, you're gonna trust them. You're gonna stay in the pocket, and he should be fine come Chargers game. And this great body control by Nico. They need to do more of this. I remember seeing him his rookie year going to training camp. The dude's massive. He's so big, and he's just it's a matchup nightmare. So you can really do this whenever.
I will honestly say the reason that I think the Texans don't do more of this is every time I see Stroud throw a fade ball, it's not good.
Right, it's not very good. But I'm saying don't
but
do
this
it.
is a good ball. This is a good ball. This is a very good ball.
Don't do it from like the 5-yard line. Just do it anywhere
like
in the normal area.
Yeah, if you get one-on-one, because here what I like is when motion does this little or Mixon does the motion, you can kind of you obviously see the man. So you can just lock on a Nico, say we got one-on-one over here, and just put air on it. Just put air on the ball. Let him go. Let him track it.
Right.
When you have they can't cover that.
When you have all that space, you're just letting Nico go find the ball. As long as you don't, obviously we've seen fades where try to throws it out of bounds for no reason. And when you have 6 for Nico Collins, but here there's no reason to throw it out of bounds. You have all this area. Nico's going to find a way to go get the ball, and I hope to see this at least once or twice more.
Just put like what I would tell Stroud is in this type of situation where you get man, you're throwing a fake, just put air on the ball.
Yeah.
Let him track it. Don't throw it out of bounds. Don't throw it flat because he throws it flat a lot of the time. To me, he throws a very flat ball. We're like here. I mean, it's a perfect throw. Like you said, great body control by Nico too. But you couldn't put this ball in a really better spot.
Yeah.
So, you like to see that for sure.
Yeah, I'm a fan of that. And that's what the playoffs are all about. Get the ball to your superstars. And that's what I said last year. And look, they ended up killing the Browns.
Yep. And then there's a good cutback by Mixon, too. I don't know. Is he supposed to be unblocked? I guess.
Yeah, you're just going to unblock the weak side edge, seemingly there. I want to see how much push they got on the right side, though, because, like I said, Mixon kind of has that tendency to cut back when he doesn't really have to, but. Yeah, that's actually interesting that he cuts back because that's a guard pulling in a power concept. But I guess the guy does squeeze down. Woods doesn't really get much of a block, but Howard blows up the nickel. So
yeah, I can't tell. I think Woods kind of hits him too, so it's kind of like a double team almost. It's a pretty interesting combo, but it works. It works.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. That's probably something they tell him too. Like it's really just going to be you against this one backside end. If you want to do that, go for it. And then this was you can't full start from the 1-yard line. You can't. You can't have a delay a game from the 1 yard. You have to call a time. And remember, this is the first half. I understand not using a timeout in the second half, but you have to use your timeouts in the first half if the clock gets low. I don't care. If it's 3rd and 12 from your own 20-yard line in the first half, you should call a timeout when the clock is running down.
What is Stroud complaining about? They just didn't reset it?
On the broadcast, they were saying they didn't announce that the linemen checked into the game, which he did. He did check in the game legally, but they didn't call it like over the PA announcer, and so they're supposed to reset the clock. But the
They
Texans
didn't.
also may have would have gotten flagged anyways because the ref didn't announce it. It was very mind-boggling.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, but like you said, in that situation, if there's any shot of you don't take a delay there. You just call timeout.
Yeah, never want to do that. You're just gonna run power. But they haven't been really successful running power.
No.
It's hard to run power from the Chargers will do it. The Chargers will run power on the goal line, but it's just really hard to have a pulling guard and all that condensed area. And as you can see, everyone's just crashing down.
Yeah.
And so if everyone's crashing down, you'd rather just have everyone go head up and run duo, run zone, run stretch, just to get hats on hats immediately. And then here they had to pass the ball because they couldn't run the ball, and the Titans bit. Always nice to have play action because we've seen the Texans just kind of like, for example, last week they just ran swing lead on 4th down. There's not enough deception when you do that. There's deception when you run play action from the goal line every single time because you don't know if they're going to run the ball. So it's nice to have that little add.
Good design. It's good design.
Yeah.
Good play. I'd like to see that for sure.
Yeah,
good first drive for the offense. I thought Slowick overall. That's pretty good series.
And let's not forget that Slowick's best game last year was absolutely the Cleveland Browns playoff game.
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna grab my charger real quick. I don't want my laptop. I will be right back.
We do not. I'm just gonna chill here with Aziz Al-Shaair, Derek Barnett, and whoever the heck that guy is.
We're back. And we made it back.
Yeah.
All right. And then I was gonna say, let's go through Deontay Johnson's targets.
Okay.
Because again, didn't see any of them. I heard that there was one that I thought, or I heard there was one.
He broke someone's ankles, actually. Yeah, he did. It was on a curl route. It was pretty nice, but it might have been a little wet.
This one.
It's gonna be here.
Yep.
I mean, it's really just kind of man on man, no inside or outside leverage. You're gonna be able to attack him, go outside. He shuts it down pretty nicely. It's just kind of like a guessing game for the corner, and Johnson's able to come back after the sticks.
You like to see that. Good route.
Yeah.
I heard that he had one deep ball too that was like barely incomplete, so I kind of want to see that.
Okay. Trying to remember that.
I think there was a target that he had that was a 30-yarder or something. Yeah, I think it was later on though. But I'm just kind of curious to see because again, I haven't seen any of this, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But I like what.
Oh, this is gonna be a screen.
I mean, the first route was nice. Yep.
It was very nice. I thought it was very nice of them to give him a screen. He's not like necessarily a yak guy. He can be, but it was nice of them to just give him the ball on a screen. Like that can genuinely boost confidence, especially for a new player, someone who may have been disgruntled in Baltimore, though he says he wasn't. He says he was happy. But look, he almost makes him miss. He probably should have just went outside and then try to make him miss further, but he'll learn from that. He just doesn't have the biggest.
Like we talked about,
great contact.
Like we talked about in this game. I mean, in this game, realistically, it was more so a confidence thing. There's at this point in the game, Stroud's not even in the game, so there's not a whole lot to necessarily gain. Yeah. Like, if you can run a play to get Deontay Johnson's confidence up, then do it. So I don't hate that at all.
And it wasn't the worst thing that Stroud wasn't playing because, Stroud said Deontay's been really, working extra with Stroud, talking to Stroud. I saw them on the sideline, at the end of the game, talking to each other, staying next to D'Amico with each other. I mean, the rapport is there, I think, already. And then he just kind of breaks out a little bit too early. It's not the best route. He needs to get more vertical into his hip pocket, and then he can kind of fade out. I think
this corner gets pretty handsy too. At the point of that route, but
he does. He sells the vertical. He's just going. He's keeping his head straight, and there's a little bit of deception to it. But I would have just preferred if he went more vertical and then broke out late. You don't want to make it easier for the defender to be able to match you vertically. If you're going horizontally, then that's fine. But And it's just you're not really testing him too much. You're
Well,
kind of
here,
just running
watch.
the
Let's go.
ball.
Let's go back to this because there's something on the offensive line that happened that was you like to see. Third down. They actually
Oh,
picked up a stunt here on the front.
whoa.
Here we go.
Yeah, I mean,
We
just not
got
much effort from the
yeah.
Titans there. I mean, when Sweat is your looping defender, you're not really gonna
Yeah, yeah.
get too much success there. Um, we'll check in after they get a handful of Jesse Minter's defense on Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah. That is it's a good point. That guy they run a lot of stunts, a lot of stuff that I'm a little bit concerned from the Texans standpoint, but I guess we'll see how it goes. I think this is Deontay's last target of the game, if I'm not mistaken. He has 4, so
Yeah,
that's
this was a little
actually
bit. It was a good route. Ball's a little bit behind, but I understand. This is Mills. But hey, I think Mills played pretty well. I think he's got good
yeah.
traits. I still think he has traits. He's a good quarterback, frankly. There's we know, and the funny thing is, I
I
remember.
think I think Davis Mills is a starting quarterback in the NFL. I
I'm
do.
thinking back to
I
like
think
some of those clips. Like, remember that there's that
mhm.
one deep ball against like the Patriots his rookie year. Oh my God, like
Oh
he
yeah, yeah, where he rolls
launched
out
that
to the
thing,
side. Yeah.
beautiful, like 60+ yard pass, had zip all the way. Like, he's a talented guy. He really
Oh
could be
yeah.
the next Sam Darnold, frankly.
He has a lot of arm talent. And honestly, he had some very bad turnover luck in 2022, where there were some picks and some stuff that happened that were really not his fault. And it sucks because that's just kind of what happens, especially in a year like that, where he wasn't necessarily like penciled in as the guy. You have bad turnover luck, you're not going to be the guy. And obviously, I don't think he was going to be the guy here because I mean, CJ Stroud's clearly the guy, but I do think in the right situation, Davis Mills could be a starting quarterback somewhere, and I've thought that for a while. I love having him as a backup because I do think he's a very good backup, but I do think when he hits the market, some team is going to give him a shot to compete for a starting job, and I think he's going to play well.
I think the thing is really, backup quarterbacks can make decent money, and the Texans might just have to be that team that gives decent money to a backup. And I
Mhm.
frankly wouldn't be too far against that, I guess. It's not a bad thing to have a good backup quarterback. But if you can trade your backup quarterback, then I get that too.
Oh yeah. I mean, at this point, I would definitely consider, if Mills if you can move Mills for something of good value, then I would consider it. But there's no point in moving him for nothing.
Right.
Like you would have to get something decent because I do think he can play.
Yeah. I think this would be the off season though because of the draft class not
Probably.
being so well. After that, it's going to be back to Alar, Manning, other guys like that, like that could
I
impress.
think I think this I think this would be the off season for it.
Yeah,
I think the Texans are at a position now where there's not a ton of spots that
right.
they necessarily need to fill, so they could draft a backup quarterback late, like day 3, and kind of develop him behind Stroud, and also just sign somebody. Um,
Yeah, it's an interesting thing because of the Sam Darnold situation too. Like he's done a lot for the outlook on what a quarterback can be. Understanding that quarterbacks can play until they're 40, they can always retain the arm talent. They can learn from being in new systems. Like I think Daniel Jones is probably about to get a chance to start again as well. So
I
it'll
think
be
so too.
interesting to see how like the Raiders could be an
Daniel
option.
Jones is another quarterback I don't think is a terrible quarterback like some people think he is. So, I think he was definitely overpaid, but I don't think he's a bad quarterback by any means. So there's definitely situations where, and I don't think this quarterback draft class from what I've seen so far is very impressive. There's some I think Shador is pretty good, but Cam Ward, I'm not sold on Cam Ward. I think Aller should come out,
I
but
think you
I
should
don't know if
too.
he's going to. I don't know if he's
I
going
mean,
to.
he
So,
comes
well, I guess we'll
out,
see.
he gets taken at the latest by the Giants.
Yep. And I will say I think the Giants are a good situation for a quarterback to walk into.
Yeah.
Um,
They
Brian Daboll, I think, is a very good offensive coach, and they have weapons like they have neighbors. They got I like Tyrone Tracy a ton. I liked him coming out too, and I think he's a very good running back. And then you can also just add more weapons.
if they're
They
gonna
have
add,
talent on
they're
that
absolutely
roster.
gonna add more weapons for sure. They kind of rebuilt the offensive line. It didn't hold up throughout the season, but they have talent on defense. They should be able to do some things.
I just wanted to
That'll
point
be
out on this
interesting.
play.
Yeah.
Look at Scruggs and Fisher, man. Jeffrey Simmons is on his ass.
Oh wow.
You like to see that?
Yeah, D'Amico was talking about the nastiness from Fisher in his press conference, which I didn't really pick up on, but I did see some of that at Notre Dame, so I understand, kind of that would be in his game. That's definitely a translatable thing. And then Mechie making a tough catch. That's something
That is a good catch.
Mechie had, I think, 2 tough catches in traffic made against Tennessee. So that was good. He's back at practice after taking hits to the head. So that's good. And then Schultz. First good block, then whiffs on the second attempt.
Yeah, but definitely a play that, as a whole, this is a play you like to see from multiple parties. Mechie, Mills makes a good throw.
Good team play.
Offensive line does a good job. Yeah, you like seeing that for sure.
Nothing's wide open. It could be a little bit of a better pass, a little bit more towards the sideline, but
yeah,
I'll take it. And this was bad ball. That was a real bad ball by Mills. That should have been a touchdown. Good on Robert Woods for separating. We've seen that pass be completed all the way to the high school level.
Yeah, that's a ball that Mills does have a tendency to kind of put too much air on it. Sometimes it feels like he kind of has always done that, in my opinion, where he'll like on those type of sideline balls, he just floats it. He just floats it too much, which I mean, not necessarily like upset. For a backup quarterback, he's not perfect. He's not perfect, but just kind of pointing out some of the tendencies you get with Mills, which I can't complain too much. I still think he's one of the top 5 backups in the NFL pretty easily.
He's so good that they played Case Keenum over him.
That was the stupidest thing of all time.
Might have been, yeah. This was on 4th down too. I was disappointed that they didn't run the ball on the goal line, just to kind of give the O-line some confidence.
Yeah.
I thought it was a little bit petty from Slowick. You're trying to build confidence for the playoffs. It's okay if the team gets the ball at the 1-yard line, but I'd rather it not be after a failed pass.
Yeah, and I will say I do think Mills is a good arm too, but in this situation, I don't like booting left. I get that he kind of trips coming out of it too. It's just a lot tougher. Like we said, you have to do it sometimes because you have to balance the defense out. But on a goal-to-go situation like that, just go to whatever side you're more comfortable with, and you can tell from
look at the space. All you gotta do is kind of wall off 57, let Dameon Pierce get downhill. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. And I think you could pretty comfortably say if that's Nico Collins and CJ Stroud, that ball's probably completed. But you don't have those 2 guys in that situation. So
look, I entered the stadium. My God.
I know. Yeah, there's nobody there.
I think there's more fans of the Texas Bowl.
Let's go to who did you play? You played Baylor, right? In that one,
I played Baylor. The offense was dominant, and then I walked out of the game, and Nick Casario was on the phone in the gym.
Yeah, I did see that. That was funny. I know I was kind of disappointed because A&M was playing in Vegas, and they played like a week before I went. So I would have liked to see them in Vegas. That'd have been kind of cool, but the timing didn't work out. I guess I wanted to go see some of the Dameon Pierce runs because he did have a touchdown, but he also had some other good runs. Yeah, I just like to see Dameon Pierce. I like to see Dameon Pierce do well.
He flashed that contact bounce again. Like he was running angry. He was, shedding the first contact, and I didn't mind the vision at all. I thought it was pretty decisive. His tempo is good there too. I feel like in the past you might see him climb a little bit too soon, but he does a good job of like pacing himself, bending it, and then bursting. Of course, everything happens fast in the NFL, but you can't go too fast sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, the acceleration And that type of stuff is very important in the NFL, right? It's not just straight line
That's
speed.
a
That's
Joe
why guys that
Mixon-esque,
run great
like,
40s.
yeah, that was a Joe Mixon-esque kind of bending there. So clearly he's been working on that. And I think the Texans I think Dameon Pierce could be right back into being the running back of the future.
Yeah, I mean, I like what I've seen from Pierce this year, and it's tough to give. I think it's tough to say as much bad stuff about Pierce as some people do because of how bad the offensive line is run blocking wise. Like Joe Mixon has done a ton of good for this offense, but they're still not. Man, this is shedding guys off.
Right, exactly. And there's still like a
Yeah.
big pile there too. Big pile there too. So
Yeah. I mean, you can see it when he does kickoffs too. He still has that same type of downhill running style where like it's tough to tackle that guy.
He lowers his head. He's able to maintain, absorb the contact.
Yeah.
And that's
I mean, look at 35, man. He's like slow to get up after Pierce ran him over. Look, it's like a little wobbly. He's not. That didn't feel nice for sure.
no.
No, Dameon Pierce runs really hard. I love the way that he runs. It's awesome to watch, and I'm hopeful that he can continue to get some type of offensive touches. Like I do think he can play. So
Wow. To hear you say that just made my day.
I mean, Dameon Pierce, I think, has the talent to be a good running back in the NFL. I mean, whether it's in this scheme or not, he's a very talented running back.
Right. He's flashing all the physical tools. I mean, he just flashed long speed that you didn't even see it.
This is good vision.
He's the team's kick returner. He's showing vision there. He's cutting precisely, decisively, fluidly. Look at that one. Like, there's no wasted. Look, there's no wasted movement. We used to see a ton of wasted movement.
Because we talked about that in the preseason when he got some carries about how wasted the movement was. This is, I mean, not wasted. This is one. You cut, you go.
Right.
That's what you like to see. Oh boy, Kenyon Green's in the game.
Yes, Kenyon Green did get in the game.
I did see he got in. The only reason I saw he got in the game was because he had a 0 pass blocking grade because he had 2 pass blocking snaps and gave up pressure. So I didn't know he played.
Oh, come on. Unbelievable. Here you go.
Oh, that's another good cut. There you go. I like seeing this. Man, Drew, this is your game, man. They got Pierce and Derek Barnett just going off. This was just your game.
There's no I feel like last year you might see him just kind of charge at defenders, but here he's bang, then go right, and then go up. Like, it's so decisive. It's like the acceleration is really there. You don't we didn't see this from Cam Akers. Cam Akers is clearly not very fast, but that looks like very quick on film.
That's good. Yeah, that's a good move. Really good move. Look at that. Make the guy boom.
This is not sped up. This imagine putting this film next to Cam Akers' preseason film or on the Bears game.
That was
Akers is a turtle. I mean,
that's really impressive. Honestly, I'm very impressed by that move. I didn't know he can cut. Like, he doesn't have the long speed necessarily of a top speed guy, but he has the quickness.
But he did have a long run, so doesn't he?
He did. He has decent long speed. It's just
I understand that. That's not what you would have thought, but he kind of does.
Yeah,
now.
but
I don't know what he did.
Yeah,
but he did. I guess he kind of lost weight in the off season, or was there something about he's in better shape? So I guess maybe he worked on it. I don't know. He looks a little bit more fit, I'd say. And then look, even when you see a defender or a running back, absorbing the contact, falling forward, not getting knocked back, that's still an extra yard that can really add on. And I think the Texans are going to run the ball.
Oh, yeah.
I really think they will after this game.
And the line played better this game for sure. This was one of the more impressive line performances. Just watching early on, and Laremy Tunsil had the false starts, which they're frustrating, but you kind of put up with it because it's Laremy Tunsil.
Can we talk about how Sarge thought that the cadence was messing him up? Let's. If there was a problem with the cadence, guess what? If there was a problem with the cadence, everyone would have false started.
Yeah,
Everyone was
yeah,
most likely. This is called cheating, and he got caught.
yep. And here, I just wanted to go. We can go through here. You can look through some of just the grades from this game. See, this is one of the reasons why I like Dameon Pierce. I've talked about this for a while. Dameon Pierce can pass block. Um, it sounds weird. He can pass block. He's a pretty good pass blocking running back, and that's why I said coming into the year he should be the third down running back for the Texans, and they haven't really done
I
it.
remember this very clearly. Now we're like, cut Dare, make sure there's no long snapper on the roster, and all those fun things.
Yep.
We don't want to waste roster spots here. And I think that if Dameon Pierce was just the third down back, which he can be, you're getting your best players on the field. It's not that hard.
Yeah. No. And this is what I was laughing about earlier. You had two snaps, gave up a pressure in a hurry, so you got a 0. And that's a little bit rough on Kenny, and I won't lie. That's a little bit tough.
I don't really respect that. That's not nice. That's not. I mean, come on, you're sitting on a laptop typing that in. You're not on the football field.
Yeah, you can at least give him like a 10. 0.0 is a little bit cruel, man.
Like, did he just stand there and get ran past or ran through? I don't understand.
I don't know. Here, let's go watch that. Actually, I'm kind of curious about what happened to get a 0. Because that's a little bit critical, man. They're not.
Yeah,
they did not give him a lot of leeway, which I mean, it's pretty funny, but it's not very nice.
No, exactly.
Could be a little bit nicer. Here.
No results. Uh-oh.
There we go. It's which one is it? It should be one of these two.
It's the pass.
Let's see the refs. Because clearly something went wrong. So he's right here. He's in left guard. Yep, Devontae Sweat.
Sweat on him. All right.
I don't know is that it? I don't know if that's that give you a 0. I don't know if I don't think that counted. It's probably the next play because if that was it, then I don't know if that. And they're just trying to be mean. I think if that was it.
Oh my god!
PFF being a little bit mean to Kenyon.
I think Bobby Sloan needs to contact his friends at PFF. And...
yeah. That was it. That's a little bit mean, man. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Okay. That makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. I can understand that a little bit more now. Oh, man. He got pushed. He almost stacked middles.
No, the end is so funny because I've never seen Devondre Sweat run that fast in his life. So it's only funny because against a 365-pound human being who's running faster than.
That's good. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense, PFF. Oh my god, man, he just like you said, Devondre Sweat turned on the burners, man.
Yeah,
he was hauling.
I've never seen him run that fast in his life. That's the only one that's funny.
that was good. That was pretty funny. He got turned sideways.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's not good.
That's the same one. Yeah. Oh, shit.
Oh boy. Well, that I can understand. It's still a little bit not nice to give him that low of a grade, but
I think it's because it's Devondre Sweat. That's my guess.
Yeah.
Because that's wow.
Yeah. Here, I actually want to see because I heard Kalen had an almost pick. I kind of want to see it because I didn't see it.
Yeah.
And everyone was saying it's a really good play. So I just kind of want to see this.
It was a good play, but it was more of a bad ball.
Okay. Yeah, I heard people talking about it, so I'm kind of curious. Stingley's out there. I was kind of curious. So Bryant in the slot. I guess Okudah didn't play, right? He's out, I think.
Yeah, I think he's out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, that's just, you can't leave the ball inside like that.
Yeah. That's close to being a pick, actually. That was really close. It looks like from that angle he got 2 down, but yeah, I guess I didn't see it, so I have no idea.
The thing with Bullock though is he's so much more calm with his processing than it was at USC. He's just
Oh
sitting,
yeah.
sitting, and then he
That's
trusts
really
his flight system.
close.
Yeah, can't
Yeah.
really see the feet, but
There you go. We'll watch your guy getting a sack here, Derek Barnett.
don't know if
Barnett is he's a very good rotational edge. I know I was mad at him
he
earlier
should be a
because of film
starter.
penalties, but
Yeah, it wasn't
all
a
right,
pass. It wasn't a pass rushing.
yeah, that's not.
But he has a bag. He has a bag.
Well, he does. Yeah, he does.
His
Well,
bag is
we talked
deeper
about
than
it earlier
Will
in the year
Anderson,
where we
if you want to be honest.
yeah we talked about it earlier in the year where we were frustrated with him being used on the inside because he's just not that type of guy. But when you play him on the outside, he does have a bag. And here I wanted to watch the fumble returns. Yeah, because
Woo! And then that guy gets laid out
awesome.
again too. Look at that.
Yeah,
By Nando Hewitt. He gets him.
I like the little flip into the end zone too.
Yeah. You have the two numbskulls, Neville Hewitt and Derek Barnett, saving the day, securing the dub.
I like Neville Hewitt as a player. I talked about this.
I
do like
the suplex against the Packers. That was probably the dumbest play of the year, actually.
Yeah.
That and the Steven Sims punch. I don't think other teams have had dealt with the stuff that the Texans have had, post snap or whatever. Jeez.
Yeah.
Post
the
play.
suplex. I honestly forgot about the suplex until you brought that up. I forgot that happened. But yeah, that was a little bit frustrating.
Yeah.
And then here we can go through. We did this last time. Oh, they posted some new ones. Here we go. So here, let's go. This was the first one they posted. So Stroud against split safeties he was probably the best last year, or he was one of the best. Yeah. This year he's been pretty mediocre against it. And the Chargers do it a lot. So you're going to need Stroud to bounce back. I actually posted about this. I think we can pull it up. I posted about this. Some of his best games have actually become, or like grade wise, have been recently. Statistically, he's been pretty good. He's barely had any outside of the Baltimore game. The Baltimore game was absolutely horrendous. But where is this? Here we go. So 4 of the 5 highest rated games for him were 4 out of the last 5. So excluding the Baltimore game, the other highest one was Buffalo. But he's played well lately. He's been pretty good outside of that Baltimore game. So you're seeing improvement there. Like to see that. Let's see. Oh, Hunter didn't even finish. He didn't finish first in pressures. That's a shame. That's unfortunate. I thought he was going to. He was first for for the entire season, and then he came in second. That's tough. Yeah. Let's see who finished first.
Also, really the thing for me about the split safeties is Bobby Slowick. Last year we saw the middle of the field being attacked, with the crossing routes. We haven't seen that at all this year. They're not attacking the middle of the field. When you're playing against 2 high looks, the middle of the field's going to be open. When you're playing against 1 high looks, the outside's going to be open. The flats are probably going to be more open. But Slowick hasn't taken advantage of that. And so really, frankly, he needs to get back to he's not going to go back to what's working, apparently. He wants to find an identity, is what he says, which they haven't found yet. But they need to simply work on attacking the middle of the field. It doesn't matter who the player is. It matters what the design is. And that starts with him.
Yeah. And so he came in second. He lost by 2 pressures to Trey Hendrickson. That's tough because, if he probably could have gotten it if he played in the Tennessee game more than he did. Yeah. But who really cares? You take a 90
we know who the real champ is.
Yeah. Definitely. Yep. I think he's your number 1 I guess it's going to be glitched because it's going to have DBs and stuff. That's the only thing let's see. Maybe we can fix it now.
You knew qualified. Yeah.
Nope. Yeah, NFL Pro sucks with that. That's why I use PFF for a lot of that stuff. But here we can go through some of this. Let's look through pressures. We had Barnett had 4. Solomon Byrd got a pressure. I saw that. I was happy to see that. I didn't remember. I didn't watch it, so I didn't know where it was. But like to see him get a pressure. Happy to see that. And then we can go through some more of that insight. They had one on Bullock that was impressive. I didn't remember seeing that. Let's go back. This game is interesting. the Pittsburgh and Baltimore game. I'm kind of excited to watch that one.
Is there even? Do you think Steelers fans even want this game to happen? I mean, the season's just been so frustrating for them as well, right?
Yeah, yeah. So here we go. So Bullock was targeted 28 times this season. He allowed just 11 receptions, lowest completion percentage um, out of any defender or any nearest defender, minimum 25 targets. He made a play on the ball on 39% of his targets, which was also the highest among defenders.
Yeah.
That's really impressive. It's awesome to see that. I mean, I don't know. I don't have anything else to say. Kalen Bullock's had a really awesome rookie season, and it's awesome to see that. The Texans as a whole have had a very good rookie class. Blake Fisher stepped in and played well. From our last year, as you'll see here, he's played great.
Our last year.
Yeah. It's been an awesome season from that standpoint. And the Texans have drafted it extremely well the last couple of years.
We'll see about Blake.
You can't really.
For me, right tackle is kind of an interesting position. You don't necessarily have to rely on your right tackle. It's not your blind side, but you want the physicality out of them. You want like some fluidity to them, which I think Blake Fisher has those traits. If you think about it, we saw him, pushing that guy over with Juice Scruggs. I think that's part of his game, and that's cool too. I don't know what the future looks like with the offensive line because Titus insists that he's the tackle, but you also have the young Blake Fisher there, so I'm not really sure how that's going to work. But it's working right now. I guess it's working right now, but we got to see how they do against the Chargers, and if the Texans put up an offensive stinker against the Chargers, changes will still happen. Changes will definitely happen.
Yeah.
The only changes aren't going to happen.
My prediction for like the changes to the offensive staff, especially, are like I think Chris Strasser is gone, but I do think Slowick's going to stay.
Yeah.
As of right now, that's my thought. Which I think I will say, Bobby Slowick as of lately has been better. We talked about this. He's been better. There's been bad games like the Baltimore game, but he's been the second half of the season's been better, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's hard to be successful as a first-year offense coordinator and a little bit as well as a second-year offense coordinator, I suppose. If you really think about it, well, all right, this is totality as a play caller. This is quite literally his second year. So other guys may have called plays at other levels, other teams, whatever. This is it for Bobby Slowick. He was, crunching numbers at PFF. He was sitting in the press box in San Francisco. This is it. He's learning too, and we saw, in the Titans game that he was building off of some of the stuff that didn't work against the Ravens and whatnot, and that's good.
Yeah.
But still, I'm not so sure we're going to find out the Texans' offensive identity for a couple of years, frankly, at this point.
I think it'll have to. The offensive line is going to have to step up if they want to have an identity, because the problem right now is that they don't really have an identity because they can't pass protect or they can't run block. So you can't really have an identity when you can't do either. And I think the passing offense will be good enough next year, like on paper, if you look outside the offensive line with the quarterback and the receivers and tight ends and like from that standpoint, I think they'll be okay. But you can't protect; it doesn't really matter. And that's what you've seen throughout this season.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, they have the guys that they want. Like, you can still, say, CJ, what are you most comfortable with? And maybe they'll, re-sign Diggs and draft a receiver and just want to maybe spread the ball out more. We know Slowick likes the condensed formations, which can be frustrating at times, especially when they're getting exposed. Yeah. Also, condensed formations, have validity in terms of making the defense cover more ground than you have to. So it's really all about exploiting other teams and not getting exploited by them. That's the one issue the Texans are having. They don't have answers for what the defense's strengths are. So, like you said, against the Chargers, a lot too high. They need to attack the middle of the field. You cannot attack the sideline against cover two. There is a guy sitting right there on the sideline in cover two in a cloud, 5 to 10 yards away from the line of scrimmage. You can't do it. You will throw interceptions. You will see CJ struggle to find windows towards the sideline. Can't do it. You have to attack the middle of the field. You have to run the ball too. 2 high looks. Run the ball against 2 high looks.
Run the football. Yeah,
and then make them go to 1 high. Make them blitz. Make them play man. You have to start the game running the ball. I just haven't been able to run the ball efficiently, consistently enough. But hey, maybe they got something out of Dameon Pierce that they feel good about. They can mix it up. Mixon can get yards. It's all about getting 4 yards of play at this point, really, against the Chargers, because it might be that type of game.
Yep. And here, actually, as soon as we were talking, NFL Pro actually posted insight about something like that, about the light boxes. So Chargers defense utilizes light boxes 75% of the time. Second highest rate in the NFL. They average 4.7 yards per carry. So run the football.
Yeah.
And that's still like 4.7 against a light box is good defense, but the Texans are going to have to run the football. A lot of 2 high safeties, a lot of light boxes. You're going to have to run the football. And that's why I think against Tennessee, you stall them, try to get more physical up front and try to establish some type of physicality.
Now, it's interesting that it says that they have been successful stopping the run from these light boxes, right? Is that's what that's saying?
Yeah. So they give up the 6th fewest yards per carry with light boxes, and one of 2 teams that didn't allow a rushing touchdown against light boxes.
Yeah, I mean, that's just saying that, they definitely trust their defensive line. They trust, their linebackers. Deion Henley, he can wreck the game. That's the guy that watched at Washington State.
I love Deion Henley.
That's his name. D'Amico Ryans would have loved him. But hey, the Chargers know they have good defensive players. They got a good defensive coordinator. They're probably not too concerned about what the Texans offense is going to do to them. That's kind of similar to last year against the Browns. I don't think the Browns were expecting the Texans to do what they did in that playoff game, and I think we might see something similar. I don't know. I don't think this is going to be a game where the Texans just kind of get dominated and can't score.
No, I don't think so either. I think this will be a close one. I think it'll be a defensive game for the most part, but I don't think the Chargers are like a team that blows teams out either. Their offense isn't very good. It's going to be a close one. And I have some confidence that the Texans can win this one. I've been somewhat negative about them because they haven't played that well, but I don't think the Chargers are this great football team. Yeah. Some people are making them out to be, where it's like, oh, if they go into Kansas City, man, you better watch out. I don't think Kansas City's all that worried about the Chargers either. So Justin Herbert's amazing. Like, don't get me wrong. I think Justin Herbert's amazing. I think he's top 5 quarterback in the NFL. But the receivers aren't very good. Ladd's pretty good. I like QJ, but I kind of like him as a joke now because I liked him pre-draft and he's not that great. But he did have 200 yards against the Raiders last week. I did see that, or like 180. He had like 180 yards.
Okay. Well, I don't think that's going to happen against the Texans secondary. But
I don't think so. I don't think so either. But QJ, he can play a little bit. He can play. Like, they have some decent receivers, but they don't have a top guy. They don't run the ball that efficiently because their interior is not that great. So there's, they're not this team that I'm super afraid of. I would have rather played Pittsburgh, but
it's like, but again, it's like if you can't beat, Pittsburgh or LA, and like, what are you even in the playoffs for, frankly? And then, it doesn't matter if you're the most talented quarterback. No, like the Texans shut down Josh Allen. They've shut down Trevor Lawrence for years now. Like, talent as a quarterback has not really applied against when you go up against the Texans defense, hasn't really carried you.
I mean, Jordan Love too.
Right,
Jordan Love struggled. Yeah. There was other guys too. Jared Goff was horrible.
Awesome.
So they have played well against these, the top quarterbacks. Like, even the Chiefs game, Mahomes played decent, but not like great. And Lamar killed him. Lamar was fucking unbelievable in that game. So, which Lamar, we could talk about this all day. Lamar would be my MVP. That guy has had an incredible season, but it could go your way.
I guess so. Lamar did not have a game where he was 9 for 31. But that is a very fair point.
Yeah, Lamar would be my MVP. You could literally just use the Texans defense as a sucking point for the MVP count.
Like Texans defense, you can be an MVP. Jared Goff, no. Josh Allen, no. Love, no. Lamar, yes.
Lamar, yeah. Even and Mahomes actually played much better than Lamar, or not Lamar, Allen. He played much better than Allen. If you wanted to go through that, but no, I mean both are good candidates. But Lamar would just be my pick because I watched that Baltimore game and I was Lamar was just killing us. So I think he's an awesome player. They're both awesome players. So no matter which way they go, they can't really be too mad about it. But anything else to add, Drew?
No, I think that's it. And I think obviously, if you want another Texans home playoff game, go root for the Broncos, go root for the Steelers. It's possible this year. We'll see.
Pittsburgh is possible. Denver, I think is going to
Sean Payton can pull it off.
No. I got no confidence. I think Bo Nix is going to throw at minimum 3 picks.
Okay, Bo Picks is back.
Yeah, I think so. I've watched Denver. I'm not convinced that guy's a good quarterback. They could not convince me that guy's good. I don't care what statistically he does. I feel like he's just like consensus that everyone's like, yeah, he's just not very good. So it's kind of an interesting situation. But yeah, we appreciate y'all for watching as always. Hopefully we can come back and preview a game again next week. Hopefully this isn't the last one of the season, but we appreciate all the support y'all showed on the series. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next one.